Well, joining me to debate this, to discuss this, is Amanda Owens, leading sports and performance psychologist and former tennis player. I do understand that after World War II, there was a short ban on German players, but that's kind of 75, 80 years ago. Yep. I cannot think, can you, in modern times, of any precedent, any parallel to this? No,
not in the modern game, no. However, I mean, I think it's a very strong stance, obviously, by the All England, and they're sort of leading the way, because obviously the WTA and the ATP have stated that they don't wish to prevent players from competing. The stance that the All England have done and reportedly have made, I think is very important for, I think obviously it's a political statement. And yes, it does impact players professionally because, you know, they're there for their professional gain and to earn money, but also for the love of the sport. So it's, I personally think it's for the right reasons. I think it's a very brave and it's a very strong step by the All England. However, it does grey the area here between, obviously, sport and politics.
Well, what comes next? I mean, for example, there are many who are critical of some of Israel's actions. You know, could this mean in future we start banning Israeli players? Or would that lead to charges of anti-Semitism? I just don't know. I mean, I get it when it's a national team. I would get it if it was Davis Cup, where the tennis players are representing their country. Yeah. Isn't this just a bit too far?
I think it's really tricky here. I mean, obviously, I'm trying not to sit on the fence. I think very difficult.
You're giving a very good impression.
But I think it's, you know, we haven't really been faced with this in tennis before. I think, you know, we've got atrocities happening over in Ukraine.
How is that the fault of Daniil Medvedev?
Well, it's the IOC, you see, have taken a stance, as you know, that they've stating quite clearly that athletes should be banned from competing. I think other sports as well have taken a strong stance. Tennis have not.
The French Open.
Yes.
The French Open, which will precede Wimbledon by, 3 or 4 weeks or something like that.
Yes.
The French Open will allow these players to compete.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And however, obviously the All England have made the stance. And as I said earlier, the WTA and the ATP have stated as well that they don't wish to prevent players from competing. I think it's a very difficult call to make here.
One of the reasons given was that they're really worried that Medvedev will win. Because
he most probably would, yes.
Because on grass, you know, he's and it's a slightly different game, obviously. And what they wouldn't want is a member of the royal family handing over the trophy. But they could just get someone else to do it, couldn't they?
You know, absolutely. But I think it's the meaning. There's been an issue within gymnastics regarding one Russian athlete, and I think it's a preventative measure here that it could create a political storm. And I think as well with what's going on in Ukraine, it's incredibly sensitive, and indeed, you know, we're seeing awful, dreadful. You know, I'm not
disputing that at all. I'm not disputing that for one moment. I think to take it out on individuals like this is, as I say, I've never seen it before. I quote the example of Gary Player, but there were many other individual sportsmen and women from South Africa that were still allowed to compete on the world stage. Nothing like this has happened in modern times. I wonder what the tennis-loving public will make of it. It's going to be very interesting, isn't it? I
think there's going to be a huge debate. It's going to be very divisive. You know, as a former player myself, it's a very difficult call to make. And of course, it's your professional earnings, it's your living.
And it's Wimbledon.
Yes, absolutely. But Medvedev, without a doubt, I mean, he was favourite, and yeah, I think he would have gone on to win it. And it's going to be a huge shame for tennis that he's not competing.
Well, I don't know. We have. Novak couldn't play in the Australian Open despite having won it 9 times previously on vaccine rules. Now we have this. Tennis, it seems, and global politics are now intertwined very deeply.
I know, they need to be a bit more consistent, perhaps. I mean, that's something that perhaps tennis needs to look at. But the All England, one has to applaud the fact that they've taken a very strong stance, but it's all
right. Well,
unprecedented.
Amanda, you've made the case. You've supported the strong stance taken by the All England Tennis Club. I don't agree at all.
I know you don't.
But we've disagreed in a very civil way, and I thank you very much indeed. And I'm looking forward to getting your views back at home.